Oki. Itam eksistiku. Good day. It is heading toward the afternoon of Sunday, August 18th, 2019. Just past the full moon of Okonokis Totsutsitspi when the Saskatoons ripen. And this morning, like usual on Sundays, I went for my walk and talk at Spopikami. So I've been out in the coulee for the last couple of hours. There weren't any skunks to move this morning. However, there was one false alarm, a little black and white kitten in a trap. I didn't record it or anything. The last couple of days, there's been a significant decrease in the number of skunk calls, and there have been really no snake calls. Everything's been very, very quiet. So, which is good, because I'm transitioning into my winter work and everything. But as I said in my last couple of videos, while I'm doing that, while I still have a month to kind of transition, I'm trying to get out every day into the coulees, into one of our river parks, just to kind of have a good mental health break for an hour or two on my own lonesome. And so today I chose to come out here in Upper Popson. I know of a couple of snake dens and maybe a rookery that I'd like to check in on. I'm particularly interested in the rookeries. Maybe over the week here I'm gonna stop by a few of them. We should start seeing baby rattlesnakes, and maybe we'll even see some today as we go through here. So, but in any case, before it gets too hot, and it's already getting, I'm already feeling the sun. Before it gets too hot, I want to take my little walk here and my little stroll and see if we can find anybody. This has got to be the largest, most fertile, roundest, lonesome ball cactus I've ever encountered on the prairie. Yeah, she's a big one. Up here on the kind of the ridge, the mid-ridge. Not on the coulee rim, but second tier down, second earthly tier down. Same place I was looking for a home for Mandy a couple of years ago. Still a really good rattlesnake population out this way. Yeah, you can hear it's getting a bit windy. Well, it's been a bit windy, but I thought down here in the coulees we'd have a break from it. Not entirely. Pretty much all of these kind of flat boulders and stuff out here have the potential to be a rookery, so it's good, this time of year when I'm out here surveying, I'm gonna check those rocks because you never know. All it takes is one rodent to dig a hole under that rock big enough for a snake to fit in. Next thing, there's a mama snake using it as a rookery. If it's being used as a rookery, then you can assume that there's a rattlesnake den probably within 50 meters, maybe a little bit more, but probably within 50 meters or so. And this is just the way to locate new snake dens, and knowing where snake dens are, I think is a good part of avoiding them if you want to avoid trouble, right? So I don't give away the exact locations of snake dens, but I pretty much let people know the areas where you're prone to bump into snakes. Speaking of rocks out here on the coulees, one of the things that happened, was it this week, last week? I don't know. I've hung on to the video. I hadn't posted it till now. But I went back out into the coulees behind Heritage to fetch Ochkotok. my old friend Archaeological, except this time Archaeological is not a burden, not something I'm carrying. I thought I would recruit him because I need a new weight at the bottom of my double end bag. I'm hooking up my double end bag, maybe even this afternoon. Maybe I'll do it this afternoon so I can incorporate a little video clip of it into this. But yeah, one of the martial arts tools that I got away from the house with at one point was my double end bag. That was only after the base of the bag had been, for whatever reason, destroyed by swords and knives and tomahawks and stuff. The old water base that I used to have, the Everlast water base that I bought just for that purpose. But Archaeological will serve that purpose well, and Archaeological cannot be, he's impervious to knives and swords and tomahawks, for the most part. So I'm I'm putting him in charge of the bottom of the double end bag, and I'm getting back to work, training, exercising. I'm making it a part of my everyday ritual now. I got to do something, right? So breaking my legs back in, going for runs around the new neighborhood, checking things out. I thought there was maybe an archaeology site on the coulee edge, kind of in the vicinity of the new neighborhood. So I decided on one of my runs to go out there and take a look at that. I couldn't see what was behind the fenced in compound, so I'm still not sure what that fenced in area is about. But when I've seen that kind of thing before, it's either for some kind of a science experiment that's gone on, or it's to close in a heritage site. But usually, like on the west side here, we have one of those heritage sites up at Paradise Canyon, a turtle effigy, and there's at least a gate so that visitors can actually visit, make offerings and that kind of thing. So I don't know what's going on at the coulee edge by my house in that compound, but I had to go check it out in the run, and then yeah, I gotta start training again, get my head back where it needs to be, get back in the game, because the winter game, my academic game, is coming on quick, and to what extent I can be, I want to be mentally healthy. Looks like no rookery here either, but this would be a good rock. Always look at the rocks. So I'm standing inside of what may be a snake effigy. I'm not sure. I came to check this large boulder here to see if there were any rookeries established around it. There weren't, but then I noticed there was a line of rocks here, and I started trailing this line of rocks, and it curves here, comes around, and then kind of takes a bend here, comes around, and there's kind of a whisk of a tail coming in here. Okay, now say this was the head right here, this rock here. Let's follow it. The head comes around, takes a bend here, curves around in an arc, takes another. This is kind of a weird sharp bend, so there are parts of this that make me think, could this be a snake? What is this? Weird. Comes up here, bends basically 180, comes back down this way, takes a like 90-degree bend, goes out this way, curves around here, comes back down this way, another curve here, comes in here this way, boom, 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 goes along, and then little curve here and whisk out with the tail. Boom. Tail continues to, no, there's more going on here. This is an interesting cairn here. I think what I need to do is kind of draw it out on paper. Wonder if I can get over top of it somehow. Let's go from this high ground over here. Yeah, these things are too hard to see when you can see part of it here. This bulb out this side, right? And then you got another kind of projection out this way, right? It goes like this. That comes and meets here. But at this segment, there's that part that comes, this is where it connects with what I thought might be a tail, but it's obviously not. It's probably not a rattlesnake at all, like I had originally thought, but something else. Goes around like that, down, and then there's a curve around that way. I mean, who knows? Could be a giant penis. from Farm Boy. Having a good joke, but I don't know. I'm gonna look into it a little further. Maybe come back out here with some paper so I can draw it out. Yeah, maybe that stone effigy is just some Farm Boy's fun and games. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it's probably Blackfoot. It's not particularly old. I think it probably maybe comes from the era when Fort Whoop-Up was here. I don't know what the symbol is there, but I don't know. It could be 10 years old. It could be some, one of these university art students' projects. Who the heck knows? I haven't heard of that site, and I have no idea. I can't really judge. Although I can say that it's not new. The stones had sunk into the earth, halfway at least. They weren't really caked in lichen as though they'd been there thousands of years or anything. And usually when I find something that has been there thousands of years on a ridge or hilltop like that, it'll also be covered by a growth of skunk brush sumac, because the birds stop on the stones and the birds poop, and then the poop, why does that attract the skunk brush sumac? Oh, because it's in the bird poop, the sumac seeds, and then the sumac grow there over top of the stones. So yeah, for whatever reason, whenever I found like a really big ancient cairn or something like that, that nobody had ever told me about, or maybe nobody even knows about, it was always under a pile of sumac. So I don't know about this one up here, but what cracked me up about it was it reminded me of this time when I was a kid. We were somewhere in eastern Oregon, I'm not sure, but my dad used to take me and my brother out to eastern Oregon to explore. He'd take us, like, we lived in western Oregon, but we'd go all over the place. Eastern Oregon is kind of more desert landscape and stuff, and more like this actually, but we're in this area where there's kind of sand dunes almost, and in that area I found some pottery shards, and I collected them. I put them in a bag or whatever in my pocket or what have you. I collected these pottery shards and brought them back home with us, and I started gluing them together as a kind of a puzzle. And enough of them glued together that you could see that this thing was starting to take the shape of a gourd, and that it had definitely been molded around a gourd of some kind to begin with. And so I thought that was pretty cool, and so did my dad. And so we decided to take another trip out to that area so I could collect, go into the soil there. And we actually brought a screen and everything, sifted the soil amateur archaeology, you know, slash pot hunter, slash criminal. I don't know if it were in Oregon at that time, whether it was criminal or not. It could have been. But anyway, we pulled up a whole bunch of more pottery shards for me to add to the puzzle. And as I built the puzzle, I came across a shard that said something like Sherry 1983. So my ancient Eastern Oregon native gourd pot turned out to be sherry from some community college 1983 or whatever. So who knows about this stone effigy up here, but it could be something. Anyway, we're closing in on Snake Den now, so let's go look at some snakes. Here's a little nook that you can tell has been occupied by somebody recently and may still be. The main tunnel is here, the main chamber, but then outside here there's kind of an overhang with some grass and roots, but you can see the soil has been disturbed there. Something's been coming out and disturbing the soil there. Not so much that, because there's also a bit of spider web in here, so it's not super recent, but sometime in the summer for sure something was using that hole. And judging by lack of, you know, the rinds of seeds and stuff like that, the shells left typically by mice who are inhabiting places like this, I wouldn't doubt if it was a rattlesnake. Now, even though she was pretty yellow, that might still be a pregnant female, looking at the tail and kind of the girth before the tail. Young pregnant female if she is. She's not too far from the den site itself, which I already checked, but I'm not going to show on camera. But no snakes at the den site, but she's obviously been here a while because there's, you know, shed skin going into her hole there. And this is close enough to the den site to be a good rookery. So she's probably just gonna have babies any time now. So there were at least 2 mama snakes in that rookery, and that's going to be probably the final one that I look at this afternoon, unless I just kind of stumble across one as I make my way over to the Jeep. It's getting too hot for me and for the snakes. You can see those last 2 were already just huddled under their rookery rock, seeking shelter from the sun. They weren't out basking. So I don't think I'm going to find a lot of snakes out basking right now. And my big question was whether or not there were neonates, newborns, and there are not. There's no snakes at the main den sites, which, if there were already neonates born, say a week or so more ago, and I had missed the boat, then I would expect to find mama snakes already at the den sites. That's not happening. And there's no neonates with the mama snakes at the rookeries. And so basically I think these snakes are still waiting to give birth. And it makes sense to me, because this is a long summer year, because it's kind of a leap year as far as lunar cycles go. And so we still have, after, we just passed the full moon of when the Saskatoons ripen, we still have another 2 full lunar cycles to go through, basically 2 months before the summer's over, going by my calendar. So I would think that the snakes would start giving birth pretty quick now, but maybe not for another week or 2. We'll keep checking on them. Yeah, but you never know. Other years I've come late, and once in a while I'm caught where I find the neonates just at the rookeries, and the moms have already left and that kind of thing. So this year we'll see what happens. It's a nice afternoon to get outside here and walk around anyway. Still without my GoPro, by the way. Still just using my iPhone. Hopefully I'm gonna get my real technologies back on board eventually here. We'll see. Yeah, I just need to apologize to my iPhone, because you have served me well in a pinch, and to suggest that you aren't real technology is ridiculous, because look at all that you do for me every day, right? Yeah, I get my phone calls, I check the internet, get my emails, have social media. I've even uploaded YouTube videos through you. I've created, content the last little while, as my GoPro system has been having issues. So yeah, iPhone, I apologize. That was unjust accusation that I just made there. That kind of thing where I was putting you down as not being the real technology. Well, who came in the pinch, right? Who came in the pinch? It was you. You're always in my pocket.